There's something strangely magical about the Trolldier playstyle. It completely throws traditional combat logic out of the window in favour for something far more absurd and chaotic. Instead of dealing damage with your primary weapon like a sensible player, you willingly strip away that option in favour for the mobility of the rocket jumper, and instead of dealing damage with your rockets, you aim for dealing glorious market garden of crits. It's not smart, it's not efficient, and it is absolutely not consistent. But good lord, is it fun. There's just something endlessly amusing about launching yourself across the map, crashing into unsuspecting enemies, and turning them straight into ragdolls. This entire subclass thrives on a beautifully dumb premise. Go fast, take weird angles, and slam someone with a shovel. But that got me thinking, what if someone else wanted in on the chaos? You see, the rocket jumper is the heart and soul of the Trolldier loadout. It is the tool that makes the whole thing functional. Without it, the market gardener just becomes a slightly better shovel. Enter the sticky jumper. It's the Demoman's version of the rocket jumper, featuring the same no damage upside, but with a very different kind of movement. Unlike rockets, which offer more predictable jumps and angles, sticky jumps allow for far greater control and flexibility. You can launch yourself at sharper angles, reach higher places, and manipulate your trajectory in ways Soldier can only dream of. A well-timed sticky jump can send you soaring across an entire map, or slamming down in a specific spot with pinpoint accuracy. If you are skilled with the sticky jumper, it can offer even more movement freedom than even rocket jumping. You're not limited to the small distance of rockets, and sticky bombs can be preset and be ready for burst movement exactly when you need it. Plus, you have 8 of them in a clip rather than 4. But of course, here's the problem. The Demoman doesn't have a market gardener of his own. When you land your incredible jump, you're not met with a one-shot kill, but instead a standard 65 damage melee swing. So is that the end of it? Demonite Trolldier is a lost cause? Not quite. What if, instead of mourning the lack of a dedicated crit melee, we embraced the madness and just made it work anyway? No excuses, no perfect weapon synergy, just raw stubbornness and a taste for chaos. This is the Demoman's answer to Trolldier. The same core concepts apply. Throw yourself at the enemy, land in their face, and slap them with your melee. The sticky jumper opens up a whole new layer for aggressive mobility for the Demoman. It's entirely separate from the grounded, shield-centric style of Demo Knight. And sure, you're still using the same melee weapons, but now you're adding vertical mobility and speed and unpredictability. Think of it like the Tide Turner, which allows you to trim off of certain slopes in map geometry. Except with the sticky jumper, you don't need to find any ramps or wait for its cooldown. You can just launch yourself into the sky whenever you feel like it. But of course, the weapons that you're going to pair this with make all the difference. If you're going to commit to aerial melee, you're going to want gear that complements this. And for that, there's only one type of weapon that will immediately stand out. The swords. The main attractor is the increased melee range, which is absolutely crucial when you're flying towards a target at breakneck speeds. That extra bit of reach makes it more likely you'll actually connect your swing mid-dive, rather than just missing. Since you won't have a critical hit with your swings, the extra range helps to make up for this, allowing you to stay out of danger from others' melee's ranges. As well as it just makes it easier to land your own hits. But of course, the swords are more than just their melee range. Each sword has their own unique stats to them, which we'll be going over now. The Eyelander is a standout choice here. Each kill you get with it increases your maximum health and movement speed. The bonus health helps you survive those risky landings, and the speed increase makes it so you can actually land your hits after you have fully landed, since you won't be able to one-shot enemies with 65 damage. This helps you combat any enemies who will decide to simply back away from you. Alternatively, there's the Half Satoichi. While it doesn't grant you any bonus movement speed, it is even better than the Eyelander than it is with healing. Each kill will grant you up to 100 HP, which allows you to heal back any fall damage you have taken, as well as any melee hits your enemies have done to you. You can go from one kill to the next, constantly resetting your health and staying in the fight for longer. Of course, thanks to its honor-bound downside, it is a risky weapon to use, and switching out of it without using a kill will deal 50 damage to yourself. That means you must be committed. But of course, the biggest issue with the previous two mentioned is the lack of critical hits. The Market Gardener will do 195 damage, and these weapons will only do the standard 65 base damage. So what's the solution? Thoughts and prayer and rolling the dice? It is random crits. Introducing the Scotsman Skullcutter, an enormous slab of metal which causes you to move slowly and hits things hard, and crits like it's on a mission from heaven. Now, the decreased movement speed doesn't actually impact you at all, since while you're airborne, the movement speed doesn't really apply. This means the only time it matters is once you've landed and you're just walking around, which, if you are playing with the sticky jumper optimally, will not be often. And even without the crits, the Skullcutter's base damage is higher than normal, which means that you can two-shot medics, and you stand a fighting chance against soldiers and demo knights since you can now three-shot them. And when you do crit, this turns into a one-shot. Now of course, if the slower movement speed between jumps really bothers you, you can switch to the bottle or your pan for the same crit potential. It is faster and more flexible, lets you move at full speed the whole time, but it does not contain the longer melee range as the swords do. Either way, a random crit is a random crit, and it's gonna kill the enemies anyway. It doesn't really matter, it's just your own preference of which one you use. And lastly, let's not forget about the Caber. The Caber is the ultimate meme pick in this setup. It is technically viable in the sense that you can sticky jump onto someone and explode, but it is a one-time use melee bomb that deals heavy damage when it detonates on its first contact. In theory, it is fantastic, since it could technically deal 125 HP, allowing you to one-shot nothing more than snipers. However, in practice, it is wildly inconsistent. The damage is weird, and it barely ever does the full 125 required. Plus, after you've used its first swing, it is just a terrible weapon. The upside of using it with the sticky jumper is you can easily jump back to spawn, or you could just killbind, it'd probably be quicker. But let's be real, if you're using the Caber, you're not really doing it for effectiveness, you're just doing it for the clip. And honestly, pairing it with the sticky jumper is perfect. And now that we've gone over the sticky jumper itself, and the different melee options you can pair with it, it's time to talk about the one thing I have not yet touched on, your primary weapons. Or more specifically, what you should be equipping in your primary slot if you're fully committed to the flying Demoman. Soldier has a very clear answer here, the Mantras. They're the go-to secondary that allows Trolldier to control his airspeed better and reduce knockback, giving him the occasional melee stomp kill as well. They're not flashy, but they do give the Trolldier the control he needs to generally consistently land the market gardens. Demoman does not get any mantras, but he does have the next best thing, his own boots. The Demoman's boots removes his primary grenade launcher, and instead gives him an extra 25 HP, which brings him up to a lovely round 200 health, and they also grant 10% movement speed, but only when you're paired with a shield, which you won't be using here because you're using the sticky jumper. Please bring back sticky tank, please. So for our purposes, the only real benefit is that extra chunk of health. Now that may not sound like much, with it just being extra 25 HP, but can somebody remind me how much damage a random crit deals? That's right, 195 damage. With the boots equipped, you can survive a random crit with 5 health, which could be the difference between you coming victorious in a melee fight. But since most of the time you'll be dropping down from the sky, you'll most likely be taking full damage, which means you will still be under the threshold to die to a random crit. So if you want to combat this issue, the other weapon which you could use is the base jumper. Simply put, you can deploy the base jumper, and it will stop you from taking full damage. You deploy it right before you hit the ground, so you don't have that very slow glide back down, and bam! You now have completely free mobility, no full damage from the base jumper, and no blast damage from the sticky jumper. And what free mobility allows you to do is be constantly being aggressive. The only time you need to go for a health pack is when you have taken damage yourself, which you can easily do thanks to the sticky jumper. Now of course, if you are aiming for pure efficiency and raw damage output, one of his grenade launchers would be a better choice. But everybody knows that you can do this. That's not what you're here for. You're here for assassinating enemies with melee strikes from the air. So if you do want to find an alternative to the Trolldier, why not give the flying Demoman and his toys a shot? Did I get anything wrong? Disagree with my opinions? Think I missed something? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video or found it interesting, consider giving it a like, sharing it, and possibly even subscribing. And thank you for getting to the end.